We often say we can't not communicate. Think about that. We can't not communicate. Even if we choose not to, like when a politician says no comment, we're communicating, right? So even no comment or silence is a form of communication. Emerson had a great line that I remembered as a young man. What you are screams so loudly in my ears, I can't hear what you're saying. And that whole idea of character or actions speak louder than words. So the 3 V's come into play here. What are the 3 V's? Well, verbal, vocal, and visual. You have those, again, on your handout. What I'm going to do is start with what we call the positive verbal, vocal, and visuals. 3 ways we communicate all the time. We're communicating with words, we're communicating with our tone of voice or our attitude, and we're communicating with our actions and our body language. So with regard to that, if I were to ask you which of those 3 are most important, what would you say? Well, if we're face-to-face, people pick up obviously on what they can see. You know, it's been said and proven that 78%, almost 80% of how we learn and take information in our life has come through our eyes, through our visual senses. So we've learned a lot by observing, looking around. You know, think of how kids learn at an early age. If there's older siblings in the house, they tend to learn things faster. All right, so visual is big, and some estimates are 55 or more % of the message is visual. If you don't believe that, think of if you drift into someone's lane on the freeway and then you pull up at the next traffic light next to them and you glance over, you probably are going to see some visual cues that they weren't too excited about that or thrilled with that. All right, the vocal would be the next highest, and that's what's the attitude that's coming through in your tone or your voice. Again, in our webinar today, we could use the visual microphone chat where you see my face talking on a camera. The question is, does that visual with just a talking head help you versus focusing on the content? So now we're putting more emphasis on the voice and listening for the content, and that's appropriate for a webinar like this. We've even experimented with, for example, the webinars with the voice, with the face, you know, the advertised faces connection. And most people, after a while, say, you know, we can do without the faces. It's distracting. So, you know, at a point like this where you're there for the content, the information, it could be a visual distraction. All right, and then last is verbal. Now, it's not to say words are the least important. Words can have anywhere from 10 to 100% meaning depending on the context, the timing, and how they're said, which is that vocal. Vocal can account for 30 to 40% or more of the information. So if you mix it up, if you say sheer impact, we have our best bang for the buck by how we show up physically. So when you show up at a client site or for a one-to-one, that first impression, you know, do you look like you're comfortable with the clothes you're wearing? Do you look like you're comfortable with yourself? Are you looking visually like you're making them comfortable, that you're believable, concerned, etc.? A lot of that comes through first with what they see, and then the voice. Do you sound interested? Do you sound believable? And so on. Now, it's not to say that if you just fake all that, it's going to win, because you still have to know your content. You have to know what you're talking about verbally. But again, if all bets are equal, then more weight goes to the vocal and the visual.